Stoned Lore is a series where video games are recapped from memory after consuming high amounts of marijuana. This means that the lore and story could get a bit jumbled along the way. That is the fun of the series. No script was used in the making of this video. All marijuana used was purchased and consumed legally under state law. When I was a kid, Twisted Metal became quickly one of my favorite series that I had played. I remember getting a PlayStation one of the holidays. I'm pretty sure I got it on Christmas, but what I mean is that sometime in the late 90s, I think it was maybe 97, 98, I got a PlayStation for Christmas. And though I think I played Twisted Metal 2 first, the series itself, Twisted Metal 2, both those games really became one of some of my favorite games to play. So this should be quite a fun game to go back through and just kind of remember and try to recount after doing a recent playthrough. I played the game about a week ago, and now I'm going to, from memory, go back and just kind of talk about each area and what lore I remember. Twisted Metal's lore gets really crazy. Especially in the later series. These first two games, I'm only playing the first one here, but the lore is not too outrageous with these entries, but I mean, it gets really, really convoluted and weird. But let's hit it with Twisted Metal. One thing I know about the first Twisted Metal game is that we are dealing with the 10th contest in the actual, in-game lore. So this is the 10th time Twisted Metal has been held. It's a competition where people get these cars that they used to kind of reflect their personalities. Sometimes in the later series, they don't necessarily. I don't know. It depends on which one you're playing. But in the first two, the cars did seem to kind of represent the driver's feelings or personality or, appearance. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the car is different from the driver. That is also something to know. As we go through, we find out that, the driver's names, then we find out the car's names, and we find out the car's lore and the driver's lore. But in the first Twisted Metal, that's not something that we super worry about. I know that there was also some, cut endings and cut scenes. A lot of these were cut because at the time the developers thought they were cheesy and they didn't want to do more of them or something like that. I don't know, but from what I understand, they thought they were cheesy and didn't add what they wanted it to the gaming experience, to the actual story that they were trying to tell. The contest is held by a guy named Calypso. He has his own lore that we don't hear a whole bunch about in the first game. We just understand that he can grant any wish the drivers want, and that's pretty much what's going on here. You win Twisted Metal, you get your wish granted. We also learn through the game that typically Calypso's rewards have sort of a monkey's paw effect. If you're not familiar with what that turn of phrase means, it means that especially if you're not careful with the way you word things, you're not really getting what you're wishing for. You're getting a twisted version of it. We'll get into it as we go further. But I played the game through twice with Sweet Tooth, once for brevity, because come on, it's Sweet Tooth, and then I wanted to go for the canon ending, what I remember to be the canon ending. I haven't looked that up in a long time, but I'm pretty sure that Outlaw is the canon ending for the first Twisted Metal, and in Twisted Metal 2 we learn more about that because we see it all come to fruition if we play through the game again, which I think if you beat it with Outlaw in Twisted Metal 2, you get some more closure on that story there. But so we're going to go through and talk about what goes on when we enter this Twisted Metal contest. The first level we come to in Twisted Metal is the Arena Duel, and from what I understand, this is the only time in the series that you ever go one-on-one with a CPU in in the tournament-based competition mode. So that's an interesting little tidbit. And you can also, if you drive around enough and you can see you're in this like little LA arena situation with a bunch of people watching the battle. But one person in particular that is in attendance is Calypso, who's surrounded by a bunch of women. You can see him through this glass thing, I guess you could call it. But I always thought that was really, I remember as a kid, like being like, oh my God, you can see him if you could only kill him here or something like that. You know, like always daydreaming about ways that you could change the course of events with the game. But yeah, this is a pretty straightforward area. I've always liked the feel of it because it does like give you just a nice little place to kind of get a hold of the controls of the game, but just kind of, you know, the feel of the game. Going one-on-one is nice because later, you know, as you go through competition mode here, or, you know, whatever they call it, when you're going through the Twisted Metal contest, you're frequently just, there's always a ton of drivers around. You know, sometimes it's like 8 other drivers, you know, 6, 7 other drivers, and so having a nice little one-on-one is pretty good. But obviously, get through this pretty easily, and you know, we continue with the contest. The next area is called Warehouse District Warfare, and it, you know, just kind of kicks us out of where we just were. Now we're in the LA like warehouse district, and I've always really enjoyed the way these old places, like, well, I mean, they weren't old to me when I was first playing it, but now, you know, they're 25, 30 years old. Twisted Metal came out in 1995, so, you know, we're almost, we're getting up there in years with it now, which is insane to me. But I always enjoyed the way they did their environments, their landscapes, the way all of this looks. It looks surreal to me. A lot of people maybe even could use the term liminal here. But I just really enjoy, it's nostalgic and creepy at the same time. It's, I don't know, what is that called? Low poly depression kind of feeling that happens when I look at these things, but it's in a good way. I've always really, really enjoyed the environments. The level itself is pretty straightforward. Most of them are in the first Twisted Metal, but it's kind of like a big box. Again, most of them are just kind of like a big box, though we do get some more like circular variations and like more racetrack style courses. I mean, you don't really race or anything, but you get that feel for some of the later levels. But this one is a nice little, you know, I feel like they did the levels well in this first Twisted Metal. They build up in complexity as you go with, you know, different things going on in each one. And this is a really good next step from the arena duel. It's pretty much, you know, that same basic shape. Well, not really, I guess, because the arena's, you know, a big circle. But this, again, nice cramped warehouse district. It's real good to, you know, fly around the corners and, you know, get people. So, you know, it's a decent level is what I'm getting at here. Next, we hop on the freeway for Freeway Free For All, and we get a lot more opponents by this point. We're dealing with like 5. And the game starts to get pretty tough. The first Twisted Metal games, you know, you got to figure your stuff out. Especially if I remember correctly, I don't know about this first one, but I'm pretty sure in the second one, if you have it set to easy, like they only let you go halfway through the competition and stuff. Like you have to, like, deal with Twisted Metal at least normal to be able to play through the whole game. And they can get pretty tough if it's, you know, because of the jank from the past of, you know, just like how games played back then, or the AI. Things can get a little out of control. Freeway Free For All, I notice that the AI gets a little lost sometimes, but this is another really unique idea for a level. I'm pretty sure that it was originally planned to be a part of the last level we were just on, but for some reason or another, the developers decided they wanted it to be separate, either from gameplay, like not being up to par, or, you know, a design choice. I'm not quite sure on which one, but regardless, you really start to feel it on this level with Twisted Metal. A lot of the times you spawn just directly, like, right in front of, you know, a perfectly full health car if you have died, so it ruins the life that you're on. and it can just be super rough. One thing that Twisted Metal the first did really that I've always thought was really cool is they allow you to have like a first person view, and it just, you didn't, I don't know, you don't expect that as like being able to change cameras like that in, I don't know, I guess a lot of the racing games did similar things, but the cars are so unique and the drivers are so, you know, wacky and everything. Like, I don't know, I didn't expect that, so it's cool. And I don't think it shows back up in the second one. I'm not sure if other games in the series did it. I don't think Twisted Metal Black did it. But anyway, my two favorite games in this series, if anybody's wondering, is Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal Black. I think those really spoke to me the most in the series. But again, you know, you couldn't have any of them without this one. But yeah, the first-person car view was super cool. The fact that you could change views so easily, but then also, you know, have that view from inside the car is really, really neat. The level River Park Rumble is up next. Again, the real tight cityscapes. I think this is supposed to represent Beverly Hills, but the real tight city areas. I love that in Twisted Metal games. I think it looks great. And then also you have like an ice rink with somebody playing hockey and stuff. Of course, there's pedestrians, and a lot of the pedestrians that you see in the first Twisted Metal have like rocket launchers and things that are attacking you. I don't know if they're supposed to be the police or the army trying to stop this, concerned citizens with those type of weaponry, you know, trying to fight it off, or just something Calypso's put there. I'm not quite sure what the deal with those guys are, but I know that I'm pretty sure there's also a Santa Claus that walks around on this one. I know that I think in Antarctica, which is the level in Twisted Metal 2, I'm pretty sure I'm almost positive that there was a Santa there, but I think there was one here too. And it's just it's a cool little level. You have like it implies, a river running through the middle of town. You can jump it, stuff like that. It's split into two separate areas, so you can have, you know, there's like 6 people you're fighting, so you can have battles going on each side, and, you know, not really even see some contestants until like way after everybody else is blown up. So it's a really, these level designs are so awesome in the first game, and the second one too, which I imagine, with how much I'm talking about the second one, that we'll end up doing a Stoned Lore on Twisted Metal 2 as well. It has better endings, in my opinion. That they're animated in this comic book style cartoon situation. I'm pretty sure all of the ones in the first one here are just like text-based endings. Like I said, they had cut endings that they thought were too cheesy or whatever. So we got these like text-based over like a slight visualization of what's going on with the car at the end of the game, which, you know, we'll see. Like I said, I played through with Sweet Tooth and Outlaw, so both of those endings will be featured in this video. But yeah, River Park Rumble, definitely a very well-designed level for Twisted Metal. Assault on Suburbia is next, and it is by far my favorite level in both Twisted Metal 1 and 2, though I would probably pick a different favorite level from Twisted Metal 2, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you can unlock it in Twisted Metal 2, because me and my friends used to drive around on it, and like, we were kids, I'm talking like 11 or 12 playing this, and like, be like, you have to drive real, man, you have to drive right, and we'd like drive around like, you know, normal cars until it, you know, totally collapsed into how the game's normally played, you know, violently. But no, this is a great level. You have the same kind of thing that I liked before with the city landscapes, except now you have houses and churches and schools. I'm pretty sure the church can heal you as well. And then there's this big like LA River type canal situation that kind of circles the entire level. It's not maybe circle the entire level, but it's neat. There's like a little freeway section. It's a super cool level. It's certainly one of the biggest in the game, and it's just always been my favorite. Like I said, from the memories I have of me and my friends trying to, quote, drive real, stop at the gas stations, things of that nature, park at our houses, just silly kid stuff, to actually level design wise, just really, really great arena for Twisted Metal Combat. Now we take to LA's rooftops for Rooftop Combat. This is the final level of the first Twisted Metal game, and there's a lot of like little hidden spots, or at least one real big one in the middle. If you shoot out the big top pyramid looking thing, you can go inside the building. There's power-ups and a like healing bay there. Pretty much you jump around through all the rooftops. There's a few people you fight. And then when we do end up defeating those 3 people, surprise, last year's winner, Minion, shows up. Minion, again, in Twisted Metal 2, one of the best endings and best vehicles. No different here. The vehicle is very serious, a big old tank, very fast, tight controls, and their special is like super ridiculous. But you wear him down, and then you finally beat Minion, and it'll be off to see Calypso for our prize. First, with Sweet Tooth, all Sweet Tooth seems to want is like a crumpled up paper bag, and Calypso's actually pretty offended by the fact that this is all he's asking for. But it turns out that this crumpled little bag is like, he is Sweet Tooth's like best friend in the world or something. I don't know. Sweet Tooth is painted to be like a completely demented clown that's, lost his mind. Of course, this evolves through the story of Twisted Metal as we go into different games in the series. But here, he just wants his paper bag, man. So Calypso gives it to him. With the Outlaw ending, it's a little bit more complex. It's a little more compelling, a little more on track with what Calypso does when it comes to these wishes. And from what I understand, it is the canon ending to this first Twisted Metal. And Outlaw is a police officer, drives a cop car, and they want to live in a world. Well, I mean, in their eyes, they want Twisted Metal to stop as a competition. They don't want it to happen anymore. Too many people die. It totally destroys everything. Like obviously whatever that kind of a contest would do to the area that it's being hosted in, it's doing it to it. So this upstanding police officer wants it to stop and wants everybody to be safe again, and wants to, quote, live in a world without Twisted Metal. So Calypso's like, all right, you go through that door, and guess what? You will live in a world without Twisted Metal. And he does. He sends him out into outer space in his car, and he travels through space for eternity, as far as we know. But in Twisted Metal 2, we get to see a little bit of redemption for Outlaw. If you go down that route, I think that Outlaw 2 or whatever is supposed to be the canon ending there as well. But regardless, that ends our time with Twisted Metal. It's just always, Calypso's always been one of my favorite video game characters, just as like essence is really neat to me. Again, I think everything comes into its own a lot more in Twisted Metal 2, but this is such a great starting point for a series. Really well-designed levels, really interesting lore behind the cars and the contest itself. And they were really trying to start something special here, and then they did. The series goes on and on. In good ways. Of course, we end up getting Twisted Metal Black, which is, in my opinion, just the pinnacle of the series. But anyway, that has been Twisted Metal, and I look forward to the next episode of Stoned Lore.